I'm Dr. Michelle Lloyd. Hello, and welcome to Your Pointers for Parents live stream podcast, where we support parents with anxiety as it relates to teens transitioning out of the home after high school, whether they're heading off to the college campus, the military base, or it could simply be residential interdependence. You all already know who your host is, and it is moi, Dr. Michelle Lloyd, and I'm so excited that you all are joining us. Listen, today, and I am super excited about our guest. Her name is 𝗚𝘂𝗲𝘀𝗁. And I am going to lean right in and tell you all about her, because some of our teens may have a unique learning style. And despite their learning style, we still want our teens to be successful. And it is within our parenting role to identify how to best prepare our teens despite their learning process, despite the learning style that they possess. So let me tell you just a little bit about Sue. I'm so excited she's here. She is a parent advocate and coach with firsthand experience raising teenagers with ADHD, which we know that is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and also ASD, which is autism spectrum disorder, and learning challenges. Her own diagnosis of ADHD later in life helped her understand and support her children better. And I'm so excited about that. Through research and personal growth, she discovered transformative strategies that shifted her perspective on parenting. So today she has created a harmonious family environment. Inspired by her journey, she is passionate about supporting and empowering parents facing similar challenges, sharing knowledge and strategies for nurturing environments where children with ADHD and ASD and learning challenges can thrive. So let's be honest that we all want our teens to thrive. So listen, let's lean in, listen, and learn as we chat with Sue. Thank you, Sue, so much for joining us. How are you today?
Thank you for having me. I am doing very well. Thank you. I'm very excited
Well,
to be here.
Oh, well, good. And we're excited to have you here. Before we jump into any questions at all, I'm just curious to know about a fun fact. So, if you can tell us about a fun activity that you have embraced and that you currently enjoy. Any fun activities at all?
Yes, well, it's probably a weird one, but I decided I've read and I saw some video about how crows are really smart. And if you attract them to your yard, they will bring you gifts and they will actually like protect your property and things. So I have been on the mission for the last, I think, probably 2 or 3 months of trying to attract crows to my yard. And I had bird feeders and I did all the things that they said you're supposed to do. And it wasn't until I think 2 days ago that I actually had, it was like that movie, 30 crows just came into my yard and just
Wow.
all descended on the things. I was so excited. I'm hitting my husband. I'm like, oh my God, oh my God. He's like, you're weird. So I'm so excited. So it keeps me wanting to keep going out and just because they come and go. So it's been
Awesome.
that the new hobby. I never thought I'd be a bird person, but yeah, I've been buying seed and researching seed and it's just a little obsessive, but
Mm. Well, that's awesome. And it sounds like an amazing activity, and a new one for you. And even if you're researching, you'll be seeing at some point in time all of these pretty birds
Mhm,
just navigating throughout the outside of your home. So it sounds
mhm.
exciting to me. So you'll definitely have to keep us posted regarding that.
Okay.
You and I, we've talked before as it relates to just, your family, your children, and you've mentioned, and if you can begin before even responding to this first question, just sharing with us just a little bit about just how this area of expertise have become your own. That would be awesome, because I'd like to ask you, how did you identify your child or your children's unique learning style? I know we've talked about their learning style previously. How did you identify that? And then what strategies have you found helpful in catering to their needs?
Well, it was a long journey to figure out exactly what was going on. Especially like my oldest, your firstborn, things are
Mhm,
happening. You don't really know what's going on. So it took about 4 years to
mhm,
really come up with a diagnosis of ADHD. Um, and we learned they had dysgraphia, which is a writing disability.
mhm,
Um, has trouble putting words on paper, has trouble with handwriting. So we were getting help through the school for that. And then when I had my second child, I kind of was like, oh, okay, well, I see the signs now. So they got diagnosed and they had ADHD as well.
mhm,
But it wasn't until fifth grade that my oldest was really, really struggling. My youngest hated school from day one.
mhm,
And so I decided I'm going to pull them because their health and their mental wellness was going downhill. So I pulled them and started homeschooling them. And it was actually my youngest was just not seeming to progress. You know, they could read, they were doing spelling and stuff, but they weren't progressing past a certain grade level.
mhm,
And after doing some research, I thought, I should get them tested because it looks like they may have dyslexia. And so I got them retested, and they had dyslexia, dysgraphia, and dyscalculia, which is the math portion of it. So this kid had the trifecta. Um, and so I had to really start to get good at knowing what this is and how to figure out how to teach him because I was homeschooling. Now I'm the teacher. My oldest, the oldest one said, "There's something still going on with me. I would like to get retested." That's when we found out about the autism and they had dyscalculia as well. And then my son was recently diagnosed with autism. So it was a long process and but the strategies, I mean, homeschooling has been a godsend for us. I know that everybody doesn't have that ability, because kids with learning challenges, although there are services and things for them, the pace that schools go at now are just unbelievable. And so
mhm,
that was the biggest thing, was being able to slow things down, understand how they took information in, learn about dyslexia and get programs that benefited kids with dyslexia, and being able to go at the pace that my kids needed, not at the
mhm,
pace that, you know, my kid is supposed to be in 10th grade, but we're doing seventh grade reading, we're doing, 10th grade math, we're doing higher science. That's the beauty of being able to homeschool. So
mhm,
um, I got to know my kids really, really well and how they take in information,
mhm.
and the diagnosis were the stepping point.
Hmm. And Sue, it sounds to me as I'm listening to you talk about your children and what you identified, it seems like earlier on you found yourself letting go of your own expectations as it relates to what learning looks like,
Hmm.
especially for your sons, and then adapting to that. Although you've mentioned some, what challenges have you faced in trying to adapt your parenting style to your child's unique learning style? Any challenges surface?
Tons. First of
Mm-hmm.
all, being confident that I could actually teach my children,
Mm-hmm.
um, like I did not have patience. I didn't think I was going to be able to handle when they pushed back or when things weren't going well. So I really had to uh, look at myself and think, okay, I got to kind of separate myself from being the mom and kind of be a teacher,
Mm-hmm.
and then understanding that what are my expectations? Like school is teaching you all these different things, but ultimately, when my kid goes off in the world, what do I want them to be able to do? And so from there, I was like, okay, I want them to be able to read and write and communicate well. I want them to be able to problem solve, and if they have a problem, find those resources they needed, and then have that confidence and be proud of themselves, and feel solid that they're going to be able to go out and handle what the world's going to throw at them. So that
Mhm.
changed how I taught them, because then it wasn't like, hey, open a book and let's learn science. It was more like,
Mhm.
let's learn all these things meshed in with life, so that you're not only learning subjects, but you're learning, how am I going to put these into real life? So I
Mhm.
think that is somewhat missing in schools, and I understand it's really hard when you're working one on one. It's easier to be able to do that, but um, that was that helped me a lot, because originally I was just like, we got to do this, do this, do this. We got to finish
Mhm.
science. We got to do this. Trying to be school at home,
Mhm.
and I had to completely shift how I thought about it.
Absolutely. And I can see that by the time that you and your children are spending together, you had to, I'm hearing that you had to identify how your children excelled, not necessarily, let's just make sure that the assignment is completed. So if they excelled more at hearing something verbally as opposed to visually, then there needed to be some adjustments. Maybe more visual aids or charts or diagrams were needed as opposed to listen to some audio. So, okay, I can totally
Mhm.
picture that. How have you fostered a positive and a supportive learning environment at home? Because homeschooling is at home. And so, how have you fostered that?
Well, like I said, that mind shift really helped.
Mm-hmm.
And so thinking about, how do I want my not how do I want my child to be, or what do I want them to be, or what direction do I want them to go in? It was more like, I'm here to guide you. What do you want to explore? And
Mm-hmm.
let's explore this until either you think it's something you might want to do, or maybe, oh, I said, because this is the time now, is to start when you're young, start exploring things. And we have the opportunity for you to try a bunch of things. Like, my son has tried blacksmithing and aviation, and uh, different types of welding, things like that, which would not have happened if they were in public school. Um, Same with my oldest, have tried all sorts of different artistic avenues that they were curious about. Um, so that was part of it, is just uh, child led, like, I'm not going to give you will, you're not going to just be running around and doing whatever you
Mm-hmm.
want, but let's figure out, you're interested in this. How do we do it? How do we put them all in together?
Mhm. Awesome, awesome.
Yeah.
That's a great explanation. So tell me, what strategies have you found effective in minimizing distractions? Given that we're at home,
Mhm.
so minimizing those distractions and creating a conducive learning environment at home. What strategies were used?
That's tough. First of all, I had to figure out, like, one kid liked to be relaxed and use their computer, like, on the couch or whatever. The other kid felt more comfortable at a table.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of set up little areas that uh, they could find that were comfortable for them to work in. So that was the one of the important things. And giving them, not just saying, you are not allowed to have any distractions or do that or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, because I have ADHD, I get distracted and what, so how do we figure things out? So it was about breaking things down, finding out what the best, like, how long each one could work before they needed a break.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my oldest could work longer than my youngest, so we would time block things. So, okay, we need to get this done in this hour. It can take 15 minutes or it can take the full hour,
Mm-hmm.
but that's what we've blocked off. So, and if they got done early, then they were free to do something different until I got the next thing set up.
Mm-hmm. And so, did you find that? Um, there were you had to place limitations in reference to screen time, to make sure that there was structure. Or some parents, they may use the noise canceling headphones, or because I know that keeping that consistent schedule, I mean, that is imperative. Designating, some parents may designate a study zone,
Hmm.
whereas and I even know a relative of mine, who has ADHD. Before she goes to bed, she makes sure that she does all of her final texting while she's on a couch or while she's at a table. And
Hmm.
she's careful not to do that in the bed, because she wants to keep her personal, the bedtime, separate from, of course, what she's doing other than sleep. And so it sounds to me like you did have to just decipher between, you know, what made sense and when.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, if you have any
Hmm.
kind of kid on the spectrum, noise canceling headphones are your best
Hmm.
friend. They're an
Hmm.
absolute must. Not only just to block out noise, but um, it is also very good when you have ADHD to listen to music, which you would think would be conflicting, but it actually helps the brain get distracted enough so that you can focus and do your work. So
Hmm.
I don't mind if my kid is listening to music while we're doing it, as long as there's one ear open where I can help. If something's going on, or if I need to talk to them, they need to have one ear open, because those noise canceling headphones will block mom out um, completely. Uh,
Hmm.
Also, on breaks, now that my kids are a little older, when they were younger, I'd give them 15 minutes breaks. And
Hmm.
I'd have rules like, you can watch one YouTube that has to end for 15 minutes. You can play a game for 15 minutes. Because with technology, that's their lives. They're growing up in it. They use it. They use laptops in school. A lot of the stuff we do we have to go online for. So trying to use it in a positive way, but also let them have the fun, and boost up their dopamine if they're feeling kind of low. Watch something exciting. But the other thing I've talked to my kids is, now that they're getting older,
Hmm.
I can't continually set limits for you. We have to start working on you being able to shut down, on you being able to have good habits,
Hmm.
because when you're off by yourself, you need to be able. I'm not going to be there saying, "Hey, time to shut down the computer, time to go to bed, time to do this." So
Hmm.
that's a lot of the stuff that we're practicing now. I'm backing off a bit and saying, not reminding them as much, trying to help them find something that works for them. I can't just say, this is what works for me, do it. Uh,
Hmm.
you know, what, this is how I do it. Do you want to give that a try and see if it works?
Hmm.
Or, giving them suggestions, as opposed to trying to, hey, this is how you get organized. This is how you manage your time. This is how you do
Hmm.
this. They've got to figure that out. It won't work if I just tell them how to do it. So this is the
Hmm.
challenge now. If you've got a unique learner that's moving on to, say, higher education or trade school or something, is how are you going to start to loosen the reins and let them have some responsibility for themselves and ownership to their schedule and to what they do?
Hmm.
Um, but not let them completely crash and burn, right? They
Hmm.
do have to fall a few times, but how do we do it in a way that is not going to then crush them completely and they don't want to continue? Because
Hmm.
that's a big thing with these neurodivergent kids, and is that they don't, sometimes failures and being reminded all the time of how bad they're doing causes
Hmm.
them to stop trying. So it's
Hmm.
how do we do it in a positive way, um, and let them fall, but not so much that it will completely dishearten them.
Hmm. That is so powerful what you mentioned moments ago in reference to allowing them to really advocate for their own well being and knowing when to shut down.
Mhm.
Um, at what age would you say that you felt that that was conducive to allow them to do that? Or do you think it just depends on the child?
It definitely depends on the child. So my
Okay.
oldest, I noticed the switch around 16, 17. They started to be really interested in, like, I'm becoming an adult. I really need to start to get things in order.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Teaching them how to, when they were taking, it's called dual enrollment, concurrent enrollment. They were taking
Mm-hmm.
classes at the high school that are also get college credit,
Mm-hmm.
and it was kind of preparing them. And I said, okay, well, you need to advocate for yourself. If you're not getting something you need in the class, how are we going? This is how you can go and approach it. Um, Guiding them on how to be a better advocate. So
Mm-hmm.
they're 20 now, and even just today, they were, I don't know what's happening. I don't know. I said, okay, you know what to do. You know how to advocate for yourself. What do you need to do? I need to I need to talk to my professor and ask him to explain a little bit better. Great. "Ah, I feel stupid." No, don't. You can tell him, "Hey, I got autism. I take
Mm-hmm.
everything literally. This is a vague uh, explanation of what you really want. Could you give me a
Mm-hmm.
little bit more detail, because that will help me be able to give you the assignment that you're asking me to give."
Mm-hmm.
Um, my youngest is 16 and has no interest
Mm-hmm.
in taking control of their own lives. So
Mm-hmm.
we are slowly beginning to that. So it is the kid. So I thought, oh, 16, maybe that's the magic number. Nope. It depends on the kid. And it's going to probably take my youngest a little bit more to get them to the point. They also have a lot more going against them, so
Mm-hmm.
I have to take that into consideration. They
Mm-hmm.
constantly tell me, I wish you could see what was in my brain to show you how hard it is, to show you what this looks like to me. And I wish I could. It would
Mm-hmm.
help so much. But I have to keep that in mind when I'm thinking about pushing further and faster, that that's not going to get them where they need to go. It's going to make them shut
Absolutely.
down.
Absolutely, so powerful. If anyone, any of our listeners or anyone watching have any questions for our expert today, 𝗚𝘂𝗲𝗀, she's here and she's giving valuable information. Thank you so much, Sue. Sue, I'm wondering a couple of our final questions that
Mhm.
have come to mind. I'd like to ask is, what role does technology play in your child's learning, and how do you ensure that it's used in a way that is productive?
Oh, that is the million-dollar question that every parent, every school teacher, uh, every adult has. But I
Mhm,
also like to remind adults that the old "do as I say, not as I do." We are very
mhm.
famous for doing exactly what we tell our children not to do. So I
Mm,
have to be really on the ball. If I'm going to tell my kids, you need to shut down at this time, or you need to put the phone down. I was just talking to my husband about it. He said
mhm,
they need to put the phone down so that they can um, pay attention and clean up after themselves. And I said, yeah, I understand, but I also understand how hard it is, because, here we are cooking dinner, and, he's scrolling through Instagram, and I'm listening to something.
mhm,
So working with our kids to understand that this can, especially with neurodivergent kids,
mhm.
can become addicting. They have that mindset, that brain, that constant need for dopamine, and the technology gives it to them. So I think those conversations are more important than saying,
Mhm,
you can only do this, you can only do that, you can only do that. When you try
mhm,
to inflict that control over somebody, they're gonna fight back. But if you have the conversation and you go, "This is why I'm concerned, and even with my oldest, I said, you know what, we need to get back on track.
Mm,
We got to keep each other in check. So if you
mhm,
see me doing X, Y, and Z, like I'm on my phone going down a rabbit hole, slap me, and I will do the
mhm,
same. Um,
mhm.
you're going to get more out of your kids if they are part of the conversation and the solution than if you just make up things and then tell them and they have to do it.
I can totally see that. And so, last but not least, because you're very involved in your teens' education, and you're great at monitoring. How can other parents listening make sure that they remain included as well? Because let's be honest, a number of times, I mean, we've had thousands of students go off, and then there's that distance that have been created.
Mhm.
um, and I know it could be slightly different if, of course, your teens are near. However, how would you recommend staying involved in your teens, whether their life, their education, academic life, etc.? What are your thoughts as it relates to that?
The number one thing I tell parents is learn about your kids. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
spend individual time learning about your kids, and I don't mean questioning them, interviewing them of what their thoughts and feelings are. Little things mean so much. And I started earlier with my kids, not really early, but I hear parents, oh, if they say one more thing about Roblox or Minecraft or whatever, and I will come in and say, what's going on? I'm playing Minecraft. Oh, can you show me how? Or what is this guy doing? Can you do playing games with them? My oldest, I will go down and lay down in the bed with them and say, "Hey, what's new?" And they'll show me different things, and we'll scroll through and we'll share funny videos. Um, the best time, I if you don't have a lot of time,
Mm-hmm.
spending a few minutes right before bed, I would be in one kid's room, then I'd go in the other and just sitting with them, and you can learn so much about your child, not just about their day, but what their thoughts are, what they feel about themselves, how they look at the world. And when you start to do that, then it's a little easier when they leave. They want to come to you and talk to you. They want to share the
Mm-hmm.
information. They don't feel like it's a drill sergeant trying to get information from them and they're trying to be like, I need some independence. Now they're like, okay, you are really interested in me. You're just not trying to find out if I did my homework
Mm-hmm.
or if I got a bad grade. You really want to know about me. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that is what parents, I think a lot of parents are missing when they get to teens. My kids don't talk to me
Mm-hmm.
anymore. It's how you
Mm-hmm.
talk to them.
Mm-hmm. And then there have been, that's so impactful. There has been a period of time whereas there has been the lack of discussion, and
Hmm.
it's about things other than actually those heartfelt conversations. I totally agree. So you have dropped a plethora of gems on our call today. I'm super
Thank you.
excited. I was just here taking notes, and when you talked about making sure that your teens are exploring, I mean, you mentioned blacksmithing. I mean, those things are not taught
Hmm.
in the regular school system. And so them exploring the things that they'd like to do, and then spending individual time with our kids, that's essential. And then allowing them to make their decisions and advocate for themselves, even if they make mistakes, even if there are errors, even if they fail. A lot of times that is the best teacher. And so thank you so much for communicating, of course, those gems. You know
Hmm.
what, Sue, you have a book. If
Yeah.
Please share with us about that book, how individuals can order that book, and then if you have a website or a social media handle, we'd like to hear that as well.
Okay. Yeah, I actually have two. One is
Mm,
I used to do blogs when my kids were little, so you could probably see how much uh, different I was back then to now, because
Mhm.
at the time my kids were like, oh, please just make them go to school so I can have 5 minutes. But
Mhm.
the other one is about overcoming anxiety and ADHD in women, which I actually have been thinking about updating just because of all the new information that's been coming out and how all these
Mhm.
women are getting these late diagnoses. And I've been told you're anxious, you're depressed, it's all in your head,
Mhm.
only to find out that they actually had ADHD or autism or both.
Mhm.
Um, and the difficulty of all the feelings that come up when you learn these things. Um, those are both on Amazon. Just typing in my name, if you can spell
Mhm.
it, will bring those up. And pretty much all of I have www.parentingwithcoachsue.com.
Mhm.
That will take you to my website, and then there's links for every social platform I'm on. So instead of trying to tell all of my handles, um, that's probably the quickest and easiest. And if people are on Facebook, I have a group there. People can DM me. There's plenty of ways to get in touch with me, and I am happy to answer questions and just talk to moms, especially those that are really struggling with their ADHD and trying to manage their kids. It can be a um, real struggle.
It can, but I know some of the gems you brought today are helpful. So, Sue,
Mhm.
thank you so very much. And for our listeners, remember to please follow us on IG at Pointers for Parents. You'll see this live stream here. You'll be able to hear again these gems that Sue have dropped. She shared with you, of course, her website. And of course, you can order her book from Amazon. And even if you want to ask a question about a future episode that you'd like to see live stream, then of course just drop it right down below. And of course, we'll see it and we'll be able to invite our guests back. So, Sue, thank you so very much for spending this time with us. I really appreciate all of what you've shared, and I know it will be helpful to parents. So, we
I hope
appreciate you.
so.
Absolutely, and hopefully, we'll have you back again sometime if
I'd
you're
love
willing to
to.
join.
Thank you so much. I love what you do, and anytime you want to collaborate, I am all for it. Anything that
Uh,
can help parents.
I agree, Sue. Thank you so very much, and of course, hopefully, yep, we can collaborate together again. Take care, everyone.
Great. Bye.
Okay, goodbye. Pointers for Parents Live podcast. Why should you enroll in the Ultimate Transition Success Program? Well, the modules, the interactive implementation based modules within the program will teach you about yourself and your teen, and the new relationship that you and your teen will have both before and after transition day.